Good evening. This is my presentation for Des502 Game Design and Development module. The silhouettes you see on the screen are representative of the player characters and the monsters that move around in a forest themed setting. It has a pre-generated terrain with monsters attacking any enemy that are sufficiently near. The player objective is to free the forest of arcane monsters. By accepting fixed quests like getting rid of X number of mob or enchant, upgrade or collect X amount of items. This is what I will demonstrate in my project Arcane Forest. The project is developed in Unity game engine with C# as the programming language. But before I talk about the development and demonstrate the product, let me uh, let me go to the question of uh, why an RPG shooter. You see, role-playing games generate the most amount of revenue on mobiles and PlayStation 4. Action, shooter, RPG are the top three genres for video game sales in USA market. First-person shooter and RPG are top genre on Steam. The RPG video game is quite similar to a tabletop role-playing game. D&D is the most popular among them, except in the electronic version, the game master is replaced by electronic rules for movement and mechanics, and there are more boss monsters. The RPG has several subgenres from dungeon crawler to RuneScape, which is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. The current game differs slightly from the RPG genre. It is slow-paced, immersive, has organized quests, it has block paths, and you can enchant and upgrade weapons to improve the player's statistics. The statistical references mentioned in the slide are added to the last slide of the presentation. Let's look at the game demo. So as you can see, this is the launch page of the game, and I can go into settings and change certain settings. However, I would be changing the current UI to a better UI that I've added in the game. The player can know the objectives of the game and also look at the controls for using the game, like a standard WSD key on the keyboard and Q for the primary weapon. I'll just go to the game arena and I will show you certain things in the game. For example, the user can control the, the camera using the mouse scroll, and of course you can go in other areas of the map. Of course I see that this is blocked, and when you come near the shop, it will ask you to accept a quest or probably exchange an item. So if I go away, the quest can be activated again, but once I accept and I come back, the quest has been accepted. So now it will ask me to just go away. So also there is like a drop compass which I can pick up. At the moment look like it spotted me, but I quickly went away. So there are several monsters in the screen. When they spot you, they actually taunt you and they come charging at you. But of course, this is a different kind of monster. If it spots you, it taunts you and probably smashes the ground. So let's see how the boar attacks you. It will charge running, and of course, I don't want to get killed, so yeah, I'll try to lose him. Okay, let's look at the player movement. You can obviously go left, right, down and up, as this is more like a top-down view. So it was important that the player control is 90 degrees angles and not 45 degrees, which you see in the isometric view. And of course, this is the primary attack, which is enabled using the Q key, and you can move up and still look at your target, and so you can move left, right, and backward or forward. So it is quite immersive, and obviously I can look at the enemy health point, and it seems that this will be dead in 2 arrows. Let me just try to. Right now I'm having too many applications loaded, so it is difficult to aim, but I'll try to. So once the body decays, once the let's see how this monster hits me. So it will come at me. Of course, I just have 1 health left. Let's not get killed. I'll just quickly try to show the map, other areas of the map, and trying to. Uh, so of course, this guy, uh, and I can pick up the drop portions. Uh, looks like this guy will kill me. The game will restart. Let's go to our presentation again, and uh, so the so the next slide is about the prototype approach. So I have used the agile process of development. It is slightly different from a standard iterative approach, as in an iterative approach, you probably define the entire problem statement, and then you go through all the processes of the life cycle again. But in an agile approach, it is more about player centric. It involves design thinking, player experience. We talk about player's journey. So it allows early user feedback with less defined requirements, and then you are able to adapt to progress the development very quickly. Also, you can the specific thing is that you can break down the task into sprints. So probably the first um, iteration will have certain amount of features, and the next iteration would have a certain specific iteration, as opposed to iterative prototype development, which will have things like you will paper prototype, and then you will have a gray box level, and then you will have probably a low fidelity and then a high fidelity. But in this is more an agile approach is slightly better in terms of game development. So I have used an onion skin approach, and this looks very similar to the MDA framework, which has the mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetic. However, the features that are defined as core, important, and the additional features are complete in its own. So I have defined certain elements that I would do in first stage of development, and then I will get the players' feedback or my facilitators' feedback, and then move on to other. So, for example, the sound effects came much later, and they are more of like a cosmetic changes or contextualizing as you go on the outer layer. Uh, Let's look at, I've already discussed about the player controls, the player abilities in the map. So the player statistics, for now it has just 15 arrows, and the health is upgradable. It can control using the mouse and the keyboard. And of course it has a secondary attack, which is the kick. So maybe I'll show you a little bit more demo on. Of course, there were certain observation during the play testing. For example, there is no holder for the arrows, and I would just suggest that these are magical arrows, and the position of the character is slightly below the waist when it tries to collect. So it's not a bag, but and of course there were certain observation that there is no it's difficult to accurately target. Well, I would say that the speed, gravity, and the path of the arrow is decided by the player statistics, and you can, as you level up, you increase the statistics. I will show the demo. Let me go to another slide. So you see enemies from the coding standpoint of view, the enemies are using finite state machine with additional prefabs and animation controller. So this is like reusing the animation AI script. And of course, all the enemies have, there are certain types of enemies, and they differ in terms of HP, and they do a random drop of portions, and the death animation, of course there is a single script for death animation. There are time synced events rather than just relying on the built-in collision of Unity, as it was important to sequence the event exactly when the player gets hit, and so even though it uses triggers, colliders, but the actions are time based. Of course, I'm probably sure you could observe that the body floated once it's totally decayed. This is probably because of the rigid body, which was not disabled after the removal of the just before the removal of the object. So I talked about animation. I will talk about animation. It's using the philosophy of VFX, which is anticipate, climax, and dissipate. So when you see the see the golem trying to smash the ground, the circular rings try to grow, and so it causes damage. However, probably the damage is not added in the current build. So let's look at the demo again. And this time, of course, I am full health, and I will try to shoot some of the enemies. Uh, as there are multiple applications running, it might be difficult to target, but I'll try to do my best. Mm, okay, better. So right now I'll go and collect it, but you can observe these golems trying to smash the ground. I will collect this and try to run away. You can see it taunted that it's going to charge, and of course I can bloom. Um, I will try to aim better this time. So there are more boar type monsters here, and this one is like 3 health. Okay. So let me show you if this one has 4 health. I'll try to go through a secret path so that they don't see me. And of course, this one has like a red U and oh, why it's following your train? Okay. So this is probably. I'll just try to. I'll just try to collect the drop portions and I'll visit this quest. Uh, I'll accept this quest. So that's about it for the demo. Of course, there are certain. Let me just show you. There are certain other paths which will be unlocked as you kill all these monsters. But obviously, let's see how these monsters. Oh, I died. Of course, the game will restart. So it will start again. So that's it for the demo. Let's go back to the slide. Let's go back to the slide. So efforts and reflection. So the programming development. So my role was primarily as a programmer, and I've scripted the player controller, enemy AI, the projectile script for launching of the arrow, camera control, player statistics, enemy HP, um, and of course player HP and statistics, and the application manager, which is just about um, switching from the launch screen to the main game arena, and then quit another functionality. So I've added sound effects and I've added simple quests. Obviously, I've assembled the animation state machine like locomotion, attack, death. So death of the enemy, death of the player. The parameters. So all the animation would need certain amount of parameters and triggers. Of course, these are pre-rigged characters, and the references are on the last slide. So I mentioned that the enemy AI uses finite state machines, so there was difficulty in terms of syncing the animation. So I've used a workaround, which is using event dispatchers. I've also built the prefabs and the extendable properties of the AI so that it could be any type of enemy, and it's all reusable. Uh, So I did not include a boss level. Also, there is no ranged enemy. So currently, I thought of adding a magical range enemy, which will throw projectiles at you, but I couldn't manage to do that. Of course, you would have noticed that the player taunts are in male voice, and you could look at the compass, but obviously there was no mini map. So I would consider this during the next phase of development. So further to talking about further updates and plan. So I like the theme a lot, and I might look for other artist and narrative because RPG is all about stories. So I might look for other people to join the team, and probably target to launch this game by end of this year. I will consider some feedback from my lecturers and some of the playtesters. For example, adding combos or when you shoot the arrows, maybe a charge shot so that it does more damage, enhancements of the weapon, enchantment of the weapon, adding more balance to the game, and I will then do more playtesting and get more feedback from the playtesters. Of course, the GDD is not very detailed, and I need to list down all possible features so that I can share this development with other team members who might join later. So regarding the Quest, it is just a static screen at the moment, and I will consider extending by uh, making it extendable so that more number of quests per enemy or per shop or NPCs can be added. And I would be learning more advanced concept on Unity from Polaris site. So this is the reference screen. It has all the references that I've used in the slide. And thank you uh, for uh, um, looking at the demo and have a great day.